Bill O'Reilly had Donald Trump on to talk about the perception that's out there, especially amongst African-American voters, that Donald Trump might be a little bit of a racist. And quickly, the conversation itself got into some questionable racial territory. Let's watch.
Now, the minorities. Let's talk about the minorities. I defended you against Tavis Smiley last week, and I did it because I know you better than Tavis Smiley knows you. I don't even know if you know him.
He doesn't know me at all.
All right, okay.
But Smiley I never met him.
Smiley brought in the fact that you were this racial arsonist. That's what he used. And I said, hey, look, I known the guy for 30 years, and I've never seen any of that, and you got to give me an example. And he really couldn't. But that's the perception in the African-American precincts, that you're a racial guy, you don't like them. Is there a strategy that you have or your staff has to negate that?
Well, I don't think it is the perception, actually, Bill. I have tremendous numbers of African-Americans that work for me. I'm going to bring jobs back to the country. I don't think it's the perception at all. I just don't. I think we're going to do fantastic with African-Americans
what's your message
and
to
with
them,
Hispanics.
What's your message to African-Americans?
My message is I'm going to bring jobs back, Bill.
Jobs.
My message is I'm bringing jobs back to the country. And they're going to have jobs because right now we don't have jobs. China has the jobs. Mexico has the jobs. Japan has the jobs. Everybody has the jobs. We don't have the jobs. The jobs have been taken out of the United States like we're a bunch of babies.
Okay,
like
so it's an economic play.
It's much higher.
But how are you going to get jobs for them? Many of them are ill-educated and have tattoos on their foreheads. And you know, how are you going to, and I hate to be generalized about it, but it's true. If you look at all the educational statistics, how are you going to give jobs to people who aren't qualified for jobs?
He hates to be generalized about it, but it's true. I mean, most of them have forehead tattoos.
And are unqualified.
How can you get them a job? And ill-educated.
That was insane, okay? So it starts off with Bill O'Reilly accusing Trump of being racist, and then Bill O'Reilly shooting back with, some of my best underpaid employees are African Americans, right? And then O'Reilly's response to that is, yeah, but how are you going to employ these African Americans with tattoos on their foreheads? How many African Americans has Bill O'Reilly ever spent any time with, by the way?
With a tattoo on their face?
Yeah.
One, Mike Tyson.
That's true. I have not seen a lot of forehead tattoos amongst any population, I would say.
No,
I hate to generalize.
I hate to generalize.
But I don't think so. By the way, so people in the past, when you say that they're racist, the thing they'll go to is, I have a lot of black friends. That has always seemed like a weak response, but it now seems like an amazing response in comparison to, I have a lot of African Americans working for me. So what is the idea that because you'll allow them to work for you, you're not a racist? Slave owners had a lot of black employees. It didn't mean they weren't fucking racists. I don't even understand what that's supposed to mean. It's insanity. And look, he can say that he's got support. Look, you say Hispanics don't support you. He says they do, even though we know that they don't. Something like 4 to 12% of African-American Republican primary voters said they would vote for Donald Trump, which is zero, I suppose, but it's not exactly numbers that you want to brag about, right. I guess.
I know, but you're making the mistake of thinking that people are going to look into those numbers, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, what has Trump done in the, well, yes, you're a little different, but what has Trump done in this entire campaign and gotten away with it? He makes all of these crazy statements, right, with no real substance to them. They're broad statements about how he's going to make America great again. And then people don't do their research. They don't know what he's really about. He makes statements about how he's against reproductive rights, when in reality, he was supportive of reproductive rights just a while ago. Yeah. So people don't care about the facts. We keep making the mistake of thinking that Trump supporters care about evidence and care about facts. They don't care about evidence. They don't care about facts. They'll literally listen to whatever bullshit he has to say while he's talking to another bullshitter, and they'll be like, yeah, he's going to make America great again. No, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Please do a little bit of research. Please allow yourself, open yourself up to a little bit of evidence. This guy is full of shit, and he's taking you for a fool because you're allowing him to.
O'Reilly got a lot of criticism for what he said in the video that you just saw. Some people thought that it made him, in O'Reilly's words, a racial guy to say that. So he had a response. He had Ken Burns on, a noted documentarian, and this was the interaction that they had.
There's a poll out today. It says 35% of Americans in a Gallup survey say they're extremely worried about the state of race relations. That's up from 28% in 2015 in 1 year. And President Obama obviously has not brought the country together. You think it's that bad?
I think it's pretty bad. I think it's always been pretty bad. I think people have been divided by race in this country since the very, very beginning. You know, we'd like to think that our better angels are called at every occasion, and often they are. Remember when the president sang at the Charleston Memorial, Amazing Grace, that was written by an ex-slaver who had gone blind. We think of that, but also some of these old guilts also metastasize into anger and distrust of other people, and I think that's sort of come to the fore recently. I think, you know.
Yeah, see, I don't see that in my world, and my world is a fairly expansive one. I don't know any racists. I don't know anybody on either black or white people who don't like our staff here is integrated, right. And my assistant is black. She's been with me 25 years. I just never see this.
That is a very tiny version of what Trump said yesterday. If you have a black person working for you, by definition, you cannot be racist because you allow them to occupy the close proximity of your office.
I pay someone to help me who's black. Why would I be pay so? That's, you know who else said that? Dr. Laura. That was her when she got caught saying the N-word over and over on her show.
And look, this is sort of the dangerous thing because we understand, we've watched a million O'Reilly clips, unfortunately. We know what he talked about when he went to the restaurant. And they're not all black restaurant. They're not all yelling out, motherfucker, where's my iced tea? And he's never seen a black teenager that he wasn't ready to label a thug. And he thinks that Black Lives Matter it's either around to destroy America or to murder every cop. He's not sure which of those two things it's there for. And we understand Trump, and he's totally fine with black people being beaten and tossed out of his rallies and all of that. But the dangerous thing is that they don't want to think of themselves as racist. As you always point out, they think that they're just saying what everybody actually believes. But to maintain their worldview, they come up with definitions for things that are absolutely ridiculous. Like if you were to ask Jesse Waters, what is white privilege? He will give you an answer that has absolutely nothing to do with white privilege. And for them, racism means that you personally murder black people. And anything short of that is totally acceptable and is totally fine. And so he's right. He doesn't know any racists. He's never met anyone who's actually lynched someone. But somebody who has incredibly negative stereotypes. They have Mark Furman
on their show.
They have the guy who thinks the KKK was a bunch of leftists. Like, their hearts can be filled with negative stereotypes, and they're ready to believe the worst things about incredibly large communities of people, and that has nothing to do with racism to them. And that's disappointing.
This is the thing that frustrates me the most about people like Bill O'Reilly. They think that certain communities are just inherently unemployable, inherently bad, like as if they're born from the womb and the first thing they want to do is get a tattoo on their face, right? There's a reason why minorities are at a significant disadvantage in this country. And I know I bring up this issue and white people lose their shit because they think that this is me trying to take away from their achievements and their hard work. That's not the point. The point is we have a certain structure in place that purposely goes after minorities. We did that story about Nixon's administration and how they criminalized marijuana and amplified the war on drugs specifically to go after minorities. And that's the reason why black individuals are 4 times more likely to get arrested for using marijuana, even though they use marijuana at similar rates to white people or as white people. So for anyone to say like, oh, it's just, you know, these black people and these Mexicans, they're just criminals. No, we've created a system that turns them into criminals. We've created a system where opportunities are not available to them the same way opportunities are available to us. And we have these conversations about public education, and people ask me, why do you care so much about it, right? I'm done with my education. I have no student loan debt. I'm chilling. It's because I care about this country, and I care about offering opportunities to everyone, the same opportunities that allowed me to become who I am today, okay? Whether it be a white person, a black person, a Mexican person, I don't give a shit. Opportunities allow people to elevate themselves out of poverty. But those opportunities are no longer available to us.
Well, we live in a society, Anna, where we put a beggar, it's more important to build prisons than schools, which is what we've been doing for a generation. We've been building more prisons than schools, and I don't think that's gonna, so that's where our society is putting our focus. That's where we're putting our energy and our money, into prisons and not educating people. We're also putting stop and frisk, right? So now white kids are committing the same crimes that black kids are at the same rate, except black kids are getting a criminal record for it because we have a racist policy called stop and frisk, right? And sure, they go, well, it really did cut down crime. You know where else there's not a lot of crime? Singapore. I don't know if you any totalitarian North Korea, not a lot of crime in North Korea. If you just make everyone a criminal, then there's not going to be you just put them all in prison, you put them all in the system, you stop and frisk every one of them when you see them, crime really goes down.